No.
Put in an
This one and this one, these two.
Yep.
The contractor come and he said, well, you know, that furnace is about 8.
Okay, I'd like to call a meeting to order at 7:08.
Put the air conditioner.
Can we have roll call when you're ready, Sandy, please?
Yep. In a
We
minute.
put in a new heating system with a new air conditioner. Did the vents
I
work?
want to remind everybody this is being recorded for television.
That helped.
We did the mini split in two half.
Yeah.
And it does both.
The meeting of July 18th, we have Kenny Baptiste, Joe Liggett, Sandy Slavin, Jim Smith, Mary Taggart, Alyssa Hurd, and Rob Leston. Did I miss anybody?
No.
Don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's jump right into the continued public hearings. An RDA for Frank O'Brien. Is anybody here for that one?
Motion to continue?
Until August 1st?
August 1st, yes. Joe's motion, seconded
Man.
by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Okay, that's one. Joseph E. Gomes, care of J.C. Engineering. Good evening.
Is there anything written on it?
Wait a minute. I don't want to get interrupted. I'm used to this. Yep. Okay. You send that down to Joe so you can read it?
Good evening, Brad Bertolo, JC Engineering.
Thank you.
Joe Gomes, the homeowner.
Thank you. All right, Joe's going to read David's comments.
All right, I got David's field notes. Site inspection was made at 24 Shangri-La Boulevard. The project involves the construction of a garage and retaining walls in the buffer zone to a BVW along Glen Charlie Pond.
Need another one?
The commission had previously issued an order of compliance for another project at this property, and that order of compliance has since expired. There were some violations that took place at that project in terms of doing certain things that were not shown on the approved site plan. This included the construction of a gravel driveway and the construction of an addition to the dwelling. Under this new notice of intent, a 24 by 36-foot garage is proposed, plus or minus 50 feet from the edge of the BVW at the site. The stone retaining wall at 4 to 5 feet high is proposed 32 feet from the edge of the BVW. It is proposed to backfill behind the stone retaining wall and raise the grade by 4 to 6 foot. How much fill will be needed for the project is a question. Dry wells are proposed to handle roof runoff for the project. Hay bales and silt fence are proposed between the work and the resource area. The site is on a steep slope, and it looks like a large structure in a difficult area to accomplish this type of project. Another question will be, will the garage be a two-story building? Will the unpermitted gravel drive be removed? Also noted a DEP file number has been issued, and it's recommended a continuance to see if the project requires zoning board of approval.
have anything to say?
Yes, at the last hearing, we did discuss the project, and we did file an application with the building department to get a determination from them. We have still pending, but we did file an application with them. In regards to the amount of fill, there was approximately about 300 yards of fill anticipated for the project. And since the expiration of the original approval, besides the proposed garage, the two items that he mentioned, the gravel driveway, that was put in to aid in the construction of the replacement walls that were on the pond side of the structure. It was all grass prior to then, and they stabilized the base to bring the equipment down. After constructing it, his hopes were to maintain the use of that structure as opposed to removing that driveway, as opposed to removing it and replanting grass. The garage itself is a one-story garage, although it will have a walkout on basement underneath. It's a garage lower, so it's from the street, looks like a one-story structure. Besides that, I don't think the commission had any more questions in regards to it. The only question was the zoning aspect of it, and an application was filed, which is what's required prior to filing a notice of intent. We just haven't heard back from the commissioner.
It's down the end of the grade, it's a deep grade.
Okay. Questions from the board, Rob?
Do we need to wait to hear from the other commission?
Well, it's probably a good idea.
Other than that, I don't think I have any here
Can you speak up?
about the plan.
Yeah, you gotta speak up. Speak into the mic or something.
We can't even hear you on this end of the table.
Other than that, I don't have any.
All right, conservation-wise.
I have
anyway.
nothing.
You're all set. Sandy, you got something?
It's my understanding we can make a decision on this project pending the approval of the zoning board. Because if we waited, they waited for us, by the time it's done, it's never,
It's done.
we're in the catch-22, so it can be motion that it's approved based on the zoning approving the project.
Yeah.
But I have, so you would like to keep the gravel driveway?
That's correct. That would aid in getting into the lower portion of the garage, and if we were to put loom down, and there'd be more runoff into the lake. It's all gravel now, and it kind of retains some of the water.
How do you have access into the garage, because that gravel driveway isn't going into the garage? I mean, do you plan to put vehicles in the garage, or is it for other purposes?
It's basically a workshop and storage.
So it won't be for automobiles?
There'd be a possibility of putting a vehicle in there, but the main intent would be storage and a workshop and maybe a spot to work on a vehicle, where up top would be where basically the vehicles would be off the road on the upper portion.
Would you be expanding the gravel driveway to have access into this garage?
No.
Well, probably just between the garage and the driveway.
There's just a little space.
Yeah, that just wasn't noted on plan, but it was intended to be that way.
To be that way, to put gravel there? Yes. So this section here would be gravelled in order to the garage.
Oh, right, okay.
Which section?
This here. See the driveway doesn't come up to the garage? So this area in here will be gravelled in order for easy access into the garage off the driveway.
Okay, the door's gonna be in the side then.
I have nothing else, thank you.
Joe?
So the existing gravel driveway off to the side, that's going to remain the same the way it is right now? No improvements to it?
No, it's,
Okay.
Yep.
And the proposed new driveway going up to the garage, is that going to be a pervious or an impervious surface?
planned to be a paved driveway coming off of the street.
All right, what's the proposed length and width of that? Do you happen to have that off the top of your head? I don't see
The
it.
driveway itself,
Yeah.
it'd be the width, 36 feet.
Okay, all right, it's the whole width. Is that going to be pitched back towards the road up above?
It is pitched, yes, yeah. Right, currently, everything pitches from the street down towards the pond.
But this will be pitching back?
We'll
to
pitch
the
it
road.
back away from the resource area, back into the street.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Mary?
No questions at this time?
Alyssa?
I have none.
Anybody in the audience? No?
I make a motion, we close the hearing.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Elisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Further motion?
I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon approval from zoning board with the standard stipulations.
Joe's motion, seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take it.
Okay, where'd the signature page go?
Is this right open?
Signature page. I just had it.
Let me know if I can try to help you.
Yeah. David usually does all of this. I just had it up. I saved it.
How would you pronounce that?
I don't know if it's a continued hearing or something.
Oh, there it is.
Passing the buck, are you? How would you pronounce that?
I have no idea.
Fine in it. Fine in it. Fine
That's
in
what it
it.
sounds like. Yeah, fine in that, I would say. That was continued, though.
Okay. We got one more continued hearing for John Vihenek, care of GAF. Anybody here for that?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Bob Rogers from GAF, but my understanding is that there was an email request for continuance.
Yeah.
I have a motion to continue the hearing until August 1st.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Okay, we can start on the hearings. First hearing, please. Let me get my act together here. Bear with me, the agent's not here, he does all of this.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protective Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaws, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. On Wednesday, July 18th, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for Stephen Dorn, 250 Barker Road, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, to repair, replace retaining wall, dock, sprinkler system, and various landscaping for property located at Assessor's Map 125, Lot 1A, 250 Barker Road, Wareham.
Thank you. You can take that, that one's done. I'm gonna leave the pile there.
Grab a couple points.
Good evening, I'm Steve Dwyer, the property owner.
Okay, Joe will read the agent's comments and go from there.
Okay, a site inspection was made at 250 Barker Road. The agent had contacted the owner of the property after he had visited a neighboring property and noticed significant work being done at the site in the buffer zone to What Island Pond. The owner had previously obtained an order of conditions at the first for the reconstruction of the existing dwelling. The owner had sequentially requested a certificate of compliance for that project, which the commission issued, thereby closing out any permit allowing work in the buffer zone to the pond. During a recent site visit to the neighbor's property, The agent witnessed significant work going on at the subject property in the form of landscaping work. The entire yard area had been loamed over in an effort to establish a lawn area. No approval was issued by the commission for this work. The owner did, however, install hay bales at the site for this work. He informed the owner that this work required review and approval from the commission and that an RDA had to be filed for that work. The owner also stated that he had replaced a failed timber retaining wall along the edge of the pond with a new block retaining wall. The commission was not informed of this work either. The owner then submitted an RDA for the work, but also included additional items that were not previously mentioned, which included repairs, reconstruction of a dock, repairs and / installation of an irrigation system on the property, and work to remove poison ivy within the 30-foot no-activity zone. Given the work as a whole, both in terms of what has already been done and the additional work being requested on the RDA, which has already been, is more extensive than simple landscaping, I recommend a positive determination 1 and 5 to require notice of intent for the work requested. And this sounds like it's an after-the-fact filing.
Yep. You have anything to say?
Yes, everything that's been done was done to existing structures, lawns, things like that. Nothing new was added, nothing was changed. And as the agent indicated, we did make efforts to, or, you know, hay bales and things like that to protect the naturalized areas. There was a lot of damage done from the storms this winter, and I felt like I needed to act to do that. I've been struggling. I've got a slope that goes down around the house, as many of the houses along that shore of White Island Pond do, and everyone struggles to deal with erosion. And I've had some significant erosion, so worked with my landscape designer and said, how can we ameliorate some of these problems that we're having? And that's essentially why I've, you know, started this project here, or, you know, been working on this project. I did not think it was major. I thought I was doing landscaping to existing infrastructure, structure, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Well, it is all within the 100-foot, or most of it is.
Yeah, a good portion of it is within the 100-foot. I acknowledge that. But within that 100-foot, there was already grass there. Within that 100-foot, there was already a retaining wall there. So if a retaining wall fails, which it did because of these winter storms, I mean, I have pictures I can show you guys. It was tipped over. I had to do something about it. There was sand and silt going into the lake. So I fixed that problem. So I thought I was doing what was right for the lake, you know. I thought I was acting in the best interest.
Yeah. Rob, any questions?
How are you going to remove the poison ivy?
That's a good question. I don't know if any of you have dogs, but we don't go into that area. That's like a natural area. But this poison, you know, poison ivy is like endemic down here, right? The dogs go in there, then they come in the house, and then everyone catches poison ivy to the extent that, you know, members of my family have been on like steroids because the poison ivy's been so bad. So I was thinking of spot spraying it. I haven't done anything to it because I know I'm not supposed to touch that.
I'm not entirely sure what is used. Does anyone know here?
Goats. Goats. You rent a goat?
I thought about the goats.
And they actually have goats in Plymouth, and you can get them to come, and the milk that they produce, it doesn't have poison ivy in it. You can actually drink it.
Now, do they eat other vegetation? Because I don't want to disturb the other
I'm
vegetation.
sure they eat just about everything.
I
but
figure if I
they
put the
do
goats down there,
love
you guys would be
poison
saying,
ivy.
Steve, you took all your vegetation out, you know?
They do love poison ivy. And
They
They
do.
tend to fence them in to keep
Yeah.
them controlled, yes.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, in the big scheme of things, I'm not worried about the poison ivy. I did list the dock on there. The dock just needs maintenance. It's an old wood dock that was there when I bought the house. I just need to maintain it when I take it out in the winter.
Would there be a way to keep the dogs out of the poison ivy?
Keep them on a leash, I guess.
That might solve the problem. I mean, biologically, as the ground, the plants develop, the poison ivy will go away and the other things will take over. You know, poison ivy is a pioneer plant. It grows in crap soil, and then as things come, it eventually goes away. But I don't know.
A lot.
Poison is probably not the way to go here. I'd go with the goats.
Close to the water.
Someone had told me that poison ivy is not even native to the U.S., the Europeans brought it in,
Yeah.
which is just amazing. Why would someone bring poison ivy? But, and we deal with it, right?
It's usually what happens.
Mhm.
Nothing, Jim? Sandy?
I lost track of all the things that are going to be done, so give me a second while I read this through.
Mhm.
Okay. Joe? You're reading too, right?
Nice catch.
Alicia?
I do have a question, and that is, and I know that we might not have the answer, and that is about pumping water from the lake. The lake which is owned by people in Plymouth and owned by people in Wareham, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the houses are in Plymouth.
Right.
And so my question is, yes, perhaps when, you know, all of the cottages were cottages along the pond, pumping water for your irrigation or to clean, to have drinking water or gray water, that would be easy. But I'm wondering now, what is the rule of law, or what is expected, pumping water out to do your lawn, you know, when you have this drainage issue? I'm wondering whether or not what permitting has to go, or if maybe you can do it through your own home, your home water. I don't know the answer.
And you visited as well as Mary visited. The way that we set up first of all, the sprinkler system is a legacy sprinkler system. There was a system there. They did pump out of the lake. Hadn't been used in quite some time, but I figured, hey, if I'm going to get this grass to root and stabilize the banks, I need to do something here. So that's why we reestablished it. And the way we set up the sprinkler system was, you can go either or. You can use the house system or you can use the lake.
Well, for me, I just want to know what's supposed to be done in a situation like that. You know, little summer cottages versus something which is a year-round house or 5 bedrooms use a whole lot
Well,
different.
and I know David's been checking into that because
Okay.
we've got a couple of issues in town with that right now, so he's working on that.
Does it have to do with soil riparian rights? Soil water rights? on the
Yeah, there's a state law about drawing water out of a pond or a lake. I know the Cranberry people have to pay for a permit to draw the water, so,
Maybe we can wait for Dave on that.
yeah.
Well, he
Mary?
recommends a positive ruling on this one anyways, so it's going to be, he's going to have to file a notice of intent.
Can I ask why this would be positive to
Well,
fix
actually,
existing
I was
structures?
going to ask you, how come you didn't think to even call his office? We run into this quite a bit,
Yeah.
and it's seeing how you've already dealt with the office before, you get an idea of what goes on, but you kind of just pushed it off this time.
No, it's a fair question.
Well, it wasn't actually a question, it's more of a statement, so I don't
Yep.
really need an answer. But
Well,
we run into that a lot.
Generally, where you're, basically, most of it is within 100 foot. It's usually a notice of intent anyway. That we don't usually do it on IDA because there are a lot of things that we have to address. So that's just the rules. We didn't write them.
No, I got it. I honestly thought I was acting quickly.
Yeah, I understand that. So we'll just have to work with you on it. You could work with David and everything else, but we got to kind of follow his recommendations. Mary, you got anything to add or ask? Or?
No, I think we'd go along with what David's recommendation is in the question of the ruling on that water.
Anybody in the public? No?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Sandy's motion? seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Further motion?
I make a motion that we issue a positive determination 1 and 5 and require a notice of intent, and that all current work stop.
Second?
Just one question on current work. There's no more work to be done within the 100-foot zone? Behind the 100-foot zone? There's
Is this a
still work.
pond or a river?
It's a pond.
It's a pond.
Okay, 100 foot?
So
We can't see-
what's left is well beyond the 100
Well,
foot.
we can't see anything about what's beyond 100.
Okay.
Yeah, but what's within the 100, we have control over, so. I would get a hold of David, will be back Monday,
Mhm.
and I would call his office and set up a meeting with him and discuss it, and he'll lead you through.
Okay.
There's a
All right.
motion, wait, there's a motion on the floor. I didn't hear a second.
Second?
Second.
All right, Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? We still got to sign those.
All set?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Joseph Marriott.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to throw that at you.
All right,
Yeah, I did mean to.
you did.
Notice of public hearing, request for determination of applicability for Ralph Marriott in care of McKinnon and Keys Engineering, 23 Looks Mill Lane, Rochester, Mass. 02770, to replace a failed septic system with a Title V septic system for property located Assessor's Map 37, Lot 2, 24 Crooked River Road.
That area.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Sandy Keys of McKinnon and Keys Engineering in Rochester, Mass., and we're representing the Marriott family in this fairly simple septic repair.
Thank you. Give me a second.
I will.
Okay, Joe. These are for...
Marriott.
Okay. That's it. He's not allowed to go on vacation no more. That one's done. Okay, Joe.
All right.
I'll pass some names on to you.
Okay, the field notes from the agent was a site inspection was made at 24 Crooked River Road. The project involves upgrading a septic system within a coastal flood zone. An existing system is to be replaced with a new Title V septic system in coastal flood zone, AE elevation 14. The new system will be placed up near Crooked River Road, outside the buffer zone to the BVW. No grade changes are proposed. Recommend the issuance of a negative determination 2 for the project.
What this is we're just replacing the leaching area. We're keeping the 1,000-gallon tank, which is a little bit closer to this wetland line that was flagged by Bob Gray of Sebacia Consulting in Pocasset, and the lot line next to the septic system was surveyed out by Frank Westgate.
Okay. Rob?
Nothing.
Jim?
Nothing.
Sandy?
Has the Board of Health approved?
Yes, about 2 hours ago.
Close enough.
Excuse me.
I have
no
nothing, I
questions.
have nothing else.
Joe?
No questions.
Excuse me.
Mary?
No question.
Elisa?
Yes.
Anybody in the audience? No?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Elisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Further motion?
Make a motion, we issue a, is it a -2? Joe, was it a -2?
Yeah.
-2 on this project?
Second?
Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was easy.
See you all again.
You too.
that big roll in the back of the box, Kenny?
Notice of public hearing Wednesday, July 18th, 2018. The request for determination of applicability for John William Deepy, 29 Bourne Point Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to replace 4 pier pilings for property located at Assessor's Map 31, Lot 1011, 30 Bourne Point Road, Wareham.
Nope, gotta pull out the big boys. Thank you.
Can you pass that down to Jim? You need his signature.
Jim? Jim? That's for the last one.
Yes. Mary Ann.
He's just looking for that. Go. When you're
Can
ready.
somebody else read it?
I don't care. Somebody else wants to read
No, I
the
don't mind.
comments, you can.
Is everybody being able to hear me?
Yes.
All right. Okay, field notes from the agent. Site inspection was made at 30 Bourne Point Road. The project involves the reinstallation of pilings and land under the ocean in the Bourne Cove area. It is proposed to reinstall 4 pilings for the float of an existing dock system. The pilings
It's all right, go ahead.
float
Right.
were lifted
Look
by,
at it in a minute.
the pilings for the float were lifted by the ice damage during the winter. It is proposed to have a crane come in which would sit on the upland area to install the 4 pilings in the same location as they previously existed. According to the approved site plan, pilings are not to be
I talked to
jetted
Kelly
into
about this.
place. The pilings are still at the site. Any pilings that are too damaged to use will be replaced. Recommend the issuance of a -2 determination for the work. And I believe something new is coming to light on that.
Huh?
Where they can't actually get a crane in there to...
Yeah, they want to use a,
Yeah, they couldn't
you
use
want to use a barge, right?
Well, yeah, actually, that's what I was going to say.
the oyster bed.
I talked to actually the engineers, and they say because of the way the 3 pilings are in the water, they're still in the water sitting down there, they think it would be difficult to do it from the land. They would like to do it with a barge. And so the barge would be, so it'd be done, it was done by land 2 years ago. You approved all these plans and stuff like that. That's what all of this is from. And at that time, there were 3 bids. 2 were from by barge and 1 was from land, and I took the one from land. This time, apparently, nobody's able to do it from land. So what I wanted to do was to just point that out, that it would be done from the barge, not by land. But everything else is exactly the same.
Okay. Rob, questions?
Is there enough depth in the water? Will it, do they have to only work at high tide, or what?
You're going to have to work the tides on that.
As far as, there's enough depth in the water for the barge to come in, yes.
Yeah, and stay for the duration of the work? How long will it take?
I think it's going to take a day and a half.
So it won't sit on the bottom for the low
The
tide?
barge will not sit in the bottom. The barge will be out in, I swim this every day, it's about 4 feet of water, and it's it's the small barge, it's not one of the large ones.
Okay.
Okay. Jim?
And that's low tide, I mean, it's 8 feet or 10 feet at high tide, right? Okay.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Sandy? You all set?
Yes.
Sandy?
I have nothing, thank you.
Joe?
Nothing.
Mary?
This barge wouldn't have any effect on the oyster beds that's in that area, would
It
it?
won't have any. I don't think it would have any at all. In fact, I mean, they're just held by concrete blocks, and,
Yeah.
I mean, they can easily be moved. In fact, I'd be happy to help them move it.
All right.
It's not a, first of all, I don't think it'll be a problem, and if it was a problem, the oyster beds are just held by concrete. They move them daily,
All
back
right.
and forth and so forth, so if they wanted to move them 5 feet to the right, they would be able to do that.
Are those Mr. Bessie's fields?
I'm sorry.
Who's the owner of, is it Mr. Bessie's fields?
Yes.
Oysters? Okay.
Yes.
So you'll contact him if you need to move them?
Oh, yeah, he's there every day. Yeah,
Okay.
well, his son is there every day.
And their dog.
What?
And their dog.
And their dog?
And their dog.
Oh, their dog, yes, yes. Well, he's there on Sundays, the dog.
Elisa?
Nothing.
Anybody in the public?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
Sandy's motion, seconded by Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Make a motion to grant with a -2 determination with stipulation that the barge use favorable tides, that the barge use favorable tides when they do the work.
Okay.
Second.
Joe's motion, seconded by Sandy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. You're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Get a hold of David Monday if you have any questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, that's what I was asking for.
Wanted- Wait a second, we got paper issues.
Yeah, we got here. That goes with it too.
No, that's yours. This is mine. I take a copy.
Oh, you take it? Okay. Any other prints? No? This is it? Just one?
Funny.
Okay. All right. You guys finished signing that other paper?
Right in the middle of the road.
Right now, just all over there. I'll straighten it all out later.
Okay, I think that's Marriott, right?
Yeah. No, this is Sandy's.
Yes, it's,
Yeah,
Marriott's the homeowner.
yeah,
Okay,
yep. I'm putting them on that pile when they're done.
I need Joe to sign this.
That's the done pile.
Okay, wait a second, I need Joe to catch up.
This is the
Yep.
mill one right here?
That's, no,
That's
no, that's the one we just did.
And Joe, I need you to sign
Sign
this
it.
one. Or have, you hadn't. Okay. Notice of public hearing, request for determination of applicability for Tiffany. Try that again for me.
Find out when you're off the bench.
Right off the
Kuchinada.
bat, I'm getting
In
good
care
at
of
this.
AIM Contracting LLC, Daniel Ann, 12 Woodville Way, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to resurface existing deck, repair deck, replace hillside steps, and add lower deck for property located at Assessor's Map 124, Lot 91, 7 Priscilla Ave, Wareham.
I only got one print.
I got one.
Yeah, all I got is the one here. Oh, wait a minute. I got two. One there, one there. Can you identify yourself for the records, please?
I'm Tiffany, the homeowner, and it's my husband John and our contractor Dan.
Daniel Anna, I'm AIM Contracting.
Okay. Joe?
Okay, to fill notes of the agent is a site inspection was made at 7 Priscilla Ave. The project involves a reconstruction of a deck and landscape stairs in the buffer zone to White Island Pond. Work on this project had already commenced, but with no permits. An existing deck is being reconstructed in the same footprint as the existing deck. New sonotube footings will have to be installed to support the deck. The sonotubes would be 10 feet from the edge of the pond. 6 sonotubes would have to be installed. Also, existing steps that were built into the side of the hill on the property are to be replaced. The new steps would be 6x6 timber, backfilled with gravel, and all work is to be done by hand. Both features will be reconstructed at the same time, in the same footprint. Recommend the issuance of a negative determination 3 for the project.
Okay, do you have anything to add, or?
No, we're really just repairing what was very unsafe. We had a deck that was peeling and falling apart, and concrete steps going down the side of the house that had become all broken up. The lower deck that we're proposing, there's an existing patio structure there, and the posts of our deck go into that concrete slab, which is also just from the ground settling has become uneven. So we're shoring up what's existing and putting new floorboards on, and then covering up the concrete slab that's a patio that's all cracked and uneven.
Okay.
You said covering up the broken concrete slab, or you're removing it?
No, that's staying there. We're gonna just do decking over it. The cost to do a project like that, and half of our basement's filled with sand, so structurally, we might do more damage if we tried to do that, because the slab is built into a concrete retaining wall outside the house. So we figured it'd just be better just to leave it and go over it.
Okay.
Sandy?
How much work has been completed?
None. The only thing that happened was removing the boards off the deck and taking the steps out. Honestly, I didn't know about the bylaw for the 100 feet. I've had, surrounding neighbors who've done so. I've gotten notice for like docks going in, but not like resurfacing projects. So we had talked to the building department, they said come to conservation, and we haven't gone forward with any work pending this hearing, so.
If I may, the initial project was to resurface the deck, take the old boards off, put new boards down. When the inspector showed up, he said, well, since you touched it, you need to bring the whole deck up to code. And because now there's 4x4 posts and they require 6x6s and the footings aren't the size, it really created a lot more work than what we originally had intended. And so that's what brought us to this meeting here. The steps on the hillside were existing. I had already taken them out and, ready to put in new. Nothing new's really being done. It's just being refurbished and made new.
But all work stopped in June, so we've just been waiting, no deck, just waiting for your approval.
Yeah, we have a back door with a big drop.
Nice.
I just want to confirm that all the concrete and timbers not being used will be removed from the site
Yes.
manually.
Yes, manually, no machines.
Joe?
Okay, no questions.
Mary?
No question.
Elisa?
None.
Anybody in the audience?
I have a quick question, just because of one of the first hearings, they said like their approval had expired. So after we get approval for the project, because the lower deck underneath where we're going over the cracked patio, I don't see us doing that until next year. So will we have to,
3 years?
oh, it's 3 years? Oh, okay, we're fine then. Okay, good.
And if you don't have it done, come before us, and we usually grant an extension.
Okay, no, it
They'll
should be
give-
done, all right.
We'll give you 1 year at a time.
Okay.
Okay. All right, no comments.
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Sandy's motion, Rob and Lisa's second. All those in favor?
Over here somewhere.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
I make a motion to grant a -3 for this project.
Second.
All right, Sandy's motion, seconded by Jim. Okay. All those in
One
favor?
of those in the corner.
Opposed, abstentions?
No, just, no.
I guess you're all set. Thank you. If you have any questions, call David Mundy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Notice of public hearing Wednesday, July 18th, 2018. Notice of intent for Greg Carey Clean Energy Collective and Carrick GAF Engineering, Inc., 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to construct a ground-mounted solar energy facility for property located at Assessor's Map 74, lots 1009, 33 Blackmore Pond Road, West Wareham.
It's okay.
Good evening.
Last ditch effort to save the plans.
Yeah. Yes, you can identify yourself for the records.
Yes, my name is Greg Carey. I'm Director of Real Estate and Permitting for Clean Energy Collective.
Kevin Rabbit, Senior Project Manager, Clean Energy Collective.
Mr. Chairman, Bob Rogers with GAF Engineering.
Okay.
I have some half-size plans for you.
Oh, thank you.
Fantastic.
There might be one set short.
That's all right. We'll share. We can share.
Joe and I will
Not a
share.
problem. Good, I don't have to pull all these out.
Yeah.
There you go, Joe. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to, good enough. Good enough.
Thanks, Bob.
Not this year.
Yes, I heard you last time.
We were too quick.
Oh, we shared everything.
Oh, this says off Squirrel Island. I thought it was Blackmore Pond.
Okay, where are we?
Okay,
Blackmore Pond Road.
road. Squirrel Island Road, your turn.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, the back way.
Okay,
The
you
back
ready
way.
for me to
Yep.
read?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
go ahead, Joe.
All right. The site inspection was made at lot 1009 off of Squirrel Island Road. Even though the address is shown as 33 Blackmore Pond Road, the project involves the installation of solar field in the buffer zone to BVW. A ground-mounted solar array is proposed on a proportion of the subject lot. 5.5 acres of woodland will be cleared for the project. The proposed limit of work is 50 feet from the edge of the wetland. The wetland line has been approved by the commission under a previous application and is still valid. Silt fence and hay bales will be placed along the limit of work line between the work and the wetland. The project also involves installing an underground electrical line that will be tunneled under part of the wetland along Squirrel Island Road. Directional drilling will be used to install the utility under the wetland. Pits will be established at least 50 feet away from the edge of the wetlands on either side of the wetland. No work or disturbance of the wetland is proposed for this process. The solar field will be fenced in. Recommend fencing be kept at least 6 inches off the ground. Several stormwater drainage basins are proposed within the solar array area as shown. The project is being reviewed by the town engineer. A DEP file number has been received. Recommended continuance for comments from the town engineer.
Okay, you have anything? to
Yes,
add?
sir. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with respect to the address, this parcel of land used to be, used to go all the way to Blackmore Pond Road. This parcel's been recently subdivided, but at one point historically, it had frontage on Blackmore Pond Road. So the address is accurate. It may change in the future, but for now, that is what's listed by the town for Lot 1009. So this is a just over 11-acre parcel of land. The solar facility is about 5.5 out of the 11 acres. I've highlighted this plan for you, which shows a green wetland, the green approved wetlands. There's a Cranberry Bog Reservoir to the south. I got a heavy red line on the 50-foot no-touch zone. We're holding as tight to it as we can, but we're not encroaching on it. I've got an orange color just for the 100-foot buffer zone, and so it's a fenced-in, ground-mounted solar facility. We've got a screen berm that I've colored yellow in front. Blue, I've just colored the equipment pad blue, and you're showing the electric service. If you flip to sheet 5 of 6, that shows where we need to run underground electric in an easement along the property line. And it's just a situation where we don't have access to the utility poles in Squirrel Island Road. So what we propose to do is we're adding some new poles adjacent to Ferring Hill Road. That's not jurisdictional, but So we're going overhead for just a small portion, and then it's going to be a directional drilling. I spoke with Dave Pichette about it, and just to check on the familiarity. So he said there have been several projects with directional drilling, one of them a sewer line under the Wewianick. But so we would stay outside of the 50-foot on both sides of the wetland that we would be drilling under, just for the installation of electrical conduit. I've colored in kind of a pink. These are 5 depressions that we're using for stormwater management. We're trying as best we can to minimize the grading. Obviously, we need to remove trees, but anywhere that we can work with the existing grade, the trees would just be cut, not stumped. The existing vegetation would be protected to the best you can during the installation of the facility. So where we have some grading to enlarge these areas to collect and infiltrate the runoff, that's what I'm depicting in pink. And those areas and any other disturbed areas under the panels would be seeded with like a wet meadow or a grass seed mix. There's a gravel access road entirely around the solar panels that is pitched inward to the site. And so, you know, as the agent put in his report, unfortunately, we don't have receipt of the Charlie Rowley's peer review yet. There was a little bit of hiccup in the public hearing process. We were supposed to be at planning on the 9th, but we weren't able to do that. So we're scheduled with the planning board on August 13th. And so we would, you know, like to take any comment that we can tonight from the commission or the public. But we would be certainly asking for a continuance until August 15th so that we could at least have our initial public hearing with the planning board. We hope to receive the peer review report next week.
Rob?
This is maybe more for me, but when you stump the trees, do you then poison them, or is the growth that generally comes out of a stump just part of your maintenance?
Well, if we're not stumping, if we're not doing, so it's just cut as
Right,
close to the ground as possible.
Right. Usually they
And-
regrow. They're usually
Yeah,
fairly
they'll try and
vigorous.
grow back, but, you know, the area needs to be mowed, you know, once or twice a year, just only as much, you know, to the minimum, just to keep trees from growing back
Right,
up.
so it's part of maintenance, and it's not, you don't kill the stump with anything?
No, no.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Jim?
How many trees are you cutting down?
Well, it's a 5.5 acre, it's, you know, it's mature woodland. It's got a lot of understory. I don't have an estimate for you of a number of trees, but certainly there are, you know, an abundance of mature trees on this property.
What kind of trees are they?
It's a mix. I'm not a, I know a pine from a maple from an oak, sir, but it's a mix.
Okay.
Sandy?
At some time after planting this earth and berm and the plant material, trees you're going to put on top of it, they're going to grow. Is there an issue that they might very well cause too much of a shadow as they get more mature? I know it's outside of the 100 foot, but this is,
It's in the bylaws for doing these solar fields, and I'm allowed to do anything for 5 years.
I just remember the solar field outside of Wareham Crossing, those pines are going to get big and shadowed.
Or they may die as
More than
I've
likely,
seen.
when I saw the material they were
Watering them.
planted on, that it's nothing but rock underneath the very level.
Kevin
thin
can
line.
address that question.
On the projects that I've been involved in, we do nothing with the stumps outside the fence. We do nothing with the ground outside the fence. The site is designed and warranted for a 20 to 25-year lifespan, and during that time, if anything were to come up out of the stump, it wouldn't be structurally sound and big enough to cause any shade. If it did cause anything, it could be taken down with some type of a blade or some type of a,
I was talking about the planting that's going on the berm, the shielding,
Yeah.
whatever you ever called it.
So it's, so the earth berm is 6 feet high, and then we're calling for a certain type of arborvitae, a green,
Giant green.
giant green thuja. It's supposed to be deer resistant. So, if those grow 6 feet high, then you have a nice 12-foot visual barrier. But it's on the west side, it's not going to
You won't
Generally,
have
it's
to
not-
worry about a shadow interfering with the solar panels.
It'll be late afternoon when there might be a shadow that would,
But if they're good for 20 years, the trees aren't going to get that big in 20 years. Right? I'm just,
if we have to, we'll shape and prune.
because okay, there was nothing for conservation. Just my own.
Joe?
Good questions.
Mary?
No question.
Elisa?
I guess just on the plantings again, I'm wondering, percentage-wise or proportionally, you're going to be putting some arborvitae in, and you're taking off 5.5 acres of growth, of trees and bushes and so on. Is there any way you can equalize that out a little bit more? Do something else for...
Yeah, well, over 50% of the site will be untouched and left in place, so that there'll be plenty of vegetation completely surrounding the project that won't be touched.
yeah, it's obviously, in order to install the panels and the perimeter road, that all has to come out. But, you have the wetland bylaw, which is a 50-foot no-touch zone, and the zoning for the solar forces us to have 50 feet from the sidelines and from Squirrel Island Road. So, there will be 4 sides of a minimum of 50 feet of trees that are left the way they are now.
I guess my question comes only because I've seen others that when we were talking with them, they were going to plant this and that, and then when they finally comes back to us, they have 3 little bushes that are planted, and I think that's not particularly...
Right. We think a good job of coordinating to make sure that what we're showing on the plans is what's going to get built. And of course, then we have the responsibility to stick with that or request a change, because we do need to come back for a certificate of compliance. And, this is not the type of project where people are not going to come back, or it's not going to be 5 or 10 years. It's going to be, we're going to want that certificate of compliance, in a year and a half, or, just to be able to protect the value of the project.
Okay. Any more? Anybody in the public? Okay, you're gonna have to come up and speak into the mics one at a time and identify yourself for the record.
We're neighbors, we live next door to each other. Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Douglas Powers. I have a couple local businesses in town. I live at 27 Squirrel Island Road, and this will now be my front yard. So the view that you see when you come out of Target, that's going to be my view now when this goes in. So when I'm sitting up in my bedroom and open up my curtains, I'm going to see this out of my $400,000 home that I built on that road. So my concern is this getting plopped into right up to the dirt road. It's right up, coming up to my front yard. We've already put one in my backyard, Mr. Perry did, which was buffered by a lot of trees. But based on how close these folks are planning on putting this to the dirt road, my view is going to be the exact view you folks see when you come down the hill from Target. That's my front yard now. My concern is the value of my home after this gets plopped in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to plant trees high enough to give me a nice, beautiful view that I have right now.
Can you flip your chart around?
And I have real concerns with this project.
Okay, now, we're getting into an area where that's not the realm of this board. Our concern is conservation and wetlands issues, aesthetics and stuff like that's not.
So aesthetically, I just don't see how they're going to be able to make that improvement and that berm and those trees high enough aesthetically to please all of us on that road. If this was your home and we're plopping this in front of your house, aesthetically, I don't think it would be approved by you.
I understand that, but you're talking to the wrong board. You know,
Okay, you just said it was about aesthetics and putting trees and plantings and so forth.
No, no. We're concerned with wetlands issues, making sure they stay away from the resource areas and stuff like that. That's our concern. As far as aesthetics, you're talking zoning board, planning board, I don't know which one.
So do
Still
you...
gotta go before planning.
So do you have any concerns of the setbacks from the roads? Do you have any to say into that?
The setbacks that we're concerned with, the agent,
It's just the wetlands?
yes,
Okay,
the agent's already viewed that.
okay.
I'm sorry, I can't really help you on
I understand. But Eric has some other
planning. If
concerns.
they're going before planning, or they have to go before planning?
To go by plan.
Mr. Barrett, when's the hearing?
It will be August 13th.
Okay, well,
August 13th?
that would be the time when
Okay.
you'd want to present your...
And the only thing I would say, just not to be argumentative, but, you know, so we are holding a 50-foot from Squirrel Island Road of, that's a setback, that's a no-touch zone. So obviously you don't have, you know, they're doing the best they can at Toby Road, but we're going to have at least 50 feet of existing mature trees and then our screen berm. So it is significantly different.
The trees within the 50-foot, are they fairly tall?
There are many that are, yes, many
So-
mature, yes. But again, there's some understory and you can still see through them, so
Yes.
we need the additional berm.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Eric Lintel at 15 Squirrel Island Road. When you look on the chart there, you can see where the proposed field is, and then on a more update satellite image that I gave you, shows the other solar field there that was also, if I'm not mistaken, you were part of as well?
Not myself, no. It was a different engineering
Okay.
firm and a different solar firm.
But nonetheless, the condition, that's been what, is it 3 years now? That's been there for 3 years. And we're talking about the planting of trees, the berms, condition of the site. Many of the trees they planted to appease the neighbors are dead. Down the road on the corner where they put in that some intersecting culvert to connect to the poles, just cut out, it's terrible looking. Cut just left everything there. It's an ugly site. So the upkeep of that field, and more than likely they're going to be the ones that take over the one across the street. They're in a front yard and a backyard. But you drive down that road, you want to see what's going to get cut down? Some of the issues were brought up when the other solar field went in. They were cutting about a quarter of the trees, huge pines. They're cutting down over 5 acres of huge prime trees, pine trees, an assortment, mostly pine, beautiful. Question is, you know, would you want to live on a street where in your back door you've got a solar field and a front door you've got a solar field? Let's stick with the environment. The animals, we have wonderful things that come through there. For the last, since the other solar field went in, I haven't seen any, and again, this is conservation. The eastern rat snake, I've had a bunch of them, they're gone. The turtles that cross Squirrel Island Road, they've stopped. I haven't seen them since the other one went in. But you're cutting down, there's so many, right now, if you look, well, it's not on that plan, just a quarter mile down Squirrel Island Road is a huge empty sand pit. Nothing is there. That's deplorable. When you look at the satellite map, we're all for, believe me, we're for this kind of energy. But it's sort of like how it's managed and where it goes and how it goes gets a little crazy. Wareham, when you look at its satellite images, lit up like a Christmas tree with all the solar fields going in. And people are starting to get upset. It's one thing to have them along one side of the property. We talked, we negotiated. It's still not very acceptable, but nonetheless, it's there, and we're dealing with it.
but now right across the street, and you're going to cut down a road to put in more poles. Conservation, they're going to cut down, to put in a road to put these other poles in before they go underground. We have to come back to the poles, because the poles, this is a major problem. Eversource is involved in all of this, because now you've got one solar company, you'll have another. We've got Mr. Perry, and now we've got the other owner of that road, that easement that's going in. Eversource will not come down and deal with our poles because the poles are not turned over to them. You're going to cut down trees and put in a road. That's conservation, so that's part of the problem. But go down there. Why? There's so many empty fields, so many other places they can put these in. And you're going to cut down more trees and more trees. And the property values? Well, no one's talking about the residents on the street. Conservation, but come on, you talk to the zoning board. You come down there. Would you want to live with sandwich? And there is not one instance that I've seen where there are two solar fields back to back, sandwiching in several residents on a road. I don't see it anywhere in Wareham. On an edge of a property, but they're sandwiching in all these homes on that street. And that, if you aren't willing to live there, you shouldn't pass this.
Okay, again, I hate to, I'm letting you speak, but that's not our realm.
No, but common sense, people just thinking about how you are going to make decisions that are going to affect us. Don't, conservation, and now it's the zoning board, you're part of it. It's something to be thought about.
I strongly recommend you attend the 8:13
we'll be
planning
there.
board meeting.
We were at the other meeting, and that was...
Which other meeting?
It was last week.
Zoning?
And zoning, and they said it was canceled.
I think it was the planning one, and they rescheduled it.
Planning and rescheduled?
Yeah. So we'll be at that
Because
one.
you mentioned that there was an issue over the posting.
Well, it was the July 5th when you put the agenda with the town clerk, and it just...
You didn't have your 48 hours?
Well, we were
Whatever the reason.
advertised, we noticed the abutters, but unfortunately, it didn't get on the agenda that was filed with the town clerk. So, and, we had no control over it. And so we just corrected it in as friendly a way as we could,
Okay.
which is by re-advertising and re-noticing for the 13th. And town council,
So
was
planning
waiting.
board meets in this room, correct, George?
Correct.
At what time?
7.
7 in this room on the 13th, planning.
Thank you.
Speak to,
Thanks.
we're limited to what we can deal
I know,
with.
we know.
Yeah.
We know.
No one hates cutting a tree down more than me. Talk to my husband, as they fell on our house because I would refuse to cut them down.
Sir, do you still want to talk? You're all set. Okay.
I make a motion, we continue the hearing until 8:15.
Second?
And before we do that,
Oh.
anybody got any questions? Rob?
Leave it alone.
Jim? Joe?
Nope.
Mary?
It's
Elisa?
going to be continued.
Continued to 8:15.
Yes, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
What does, you said you're going to take care of the landscaping for 20 years, or you warranty it? What do you said something about the
Yes, so-
trees and all.
So if we retain ownership of this for its entire life,
If you do, if.
yes, then we would be responsible for the grass cutting, the pruning of the trees if they start to throw too much of a shadow, the western berm, the gravel access road.
So my concern with this, though, is, I've noticed when people put in houses or whatever, those nice big trees last for a little while, and then, 5 years goes by and those trees are dying because their root systems have been, putting in the gravel road, digging up
We would
the
replace
wire.
any tree that died as part of our ongoing maintenance, just like we would repair the fence if there was a piece broken on the fence. We have a maintenance team that will be responsible.
What is the fence made of? I think you
It's chain
mentioned
link.
chain link.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And the other point that I wanted to make is that I don't know what other
Can
solar...
you speak into the microphone? I'm sure Mr. White would appreciate it.
I don't know what your experience has been with other solar
feels in town, but you know, some people put in a tree that's this big, some people put in a tree that's this big. Well, these trees are on the plan at 6 feet high, which is as tall as me.
And then they'll grow from there, obviously.
You may not know, but what is your intent to retain ownership over the 25-year life?
I have no idea.
That's what I figured. Thank you.
Okay, Sandy, I'll
The
take your
motion's on the
motion.
floor for continuing to 8:15.
Seconded.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you on the 15th. Notice the public hearing Wednesday, July 18th. Notice of intent for Joseph and Linda Melva. Taken care of JC Engineering, Inc., 2854 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, to construct a single-family dwelling, driveway, install a septic system, install utilities and grading for property located at Assessor's Map 106, Lot 10, 8 Pond Edge Trail.
Let me just keep it with me.
I'm sorry. 16. Hold up. Oh, yeah, okay.
If they took a few trees down, they might add a few. 32 pounds.
I don't know, some of these farms that they've got, those look terrible.
Recommend it.
Okay. Identify yourself for the record, and we'll roll in there.
Good
No, that's
evening,
fine,
Brad
that's
Bertolo,
fine.
JC Engineering.
Yo, Joe,
Okay.
you would please?
Field notes. The project site is at 8 Pond Edge Trail in the Crane Landing subdivision. The project involves site work associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling, tree clearing, regrading, and landscaping are proposed at the site, 37 feet from the edge of the wetland. The cleared area is to be loamed and seeded. The dwelling and septic system are outlined outside the buffer zone to the VBW. Hay bales and silt fences are proposed between the work and the resource area. Recommend that the hay bale line be extended along the proposed tree line to the edge of the 100-foot buffer zone. If a DEP file number has been issued, then recommend the issuance of order of conditions with the standard conditions. If not, then recommend a continuance to the next meeting.
We did receive, checking their website, file number has been issued. The best I can do is show you on my cell phone, that's it. I don't have an email. Sometimes they email, sometimes they don't.
Is that something we can do this on contingent of receipt?
Without a physical paper?
Without it, we can't?
Dave used to frown on that. I don't know. Dave used to frown on it.
I'm just asking out of curiosity.
Yeah, because he saw it, but whether Dave saw it too is a different story.
Okay, so we would be better off,
Probably.
Should have made a copy. You should have printed it.
Oh,
Said you found it online?
It's just their website. It's
Oh.
not the
Actual
email
document?
that they typically send out. It's hit or miss. 50% of the time they send the email, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
The website shows a file number for this site, but doesn't show a file number for the following project tonight, although we received the email regarding the following project. And I have that with me tonight, because that's the email that we received. I could show you, just to show you whether you accept it or
Yeah,
not.
that's all right. You've said you wanted the paper.
Yeah, I'm just looking at David's notes here, if the file has been issued.
Well, if he said if the file has been issued and there's proof
Yeah,
that the
we
file
don't
has
have-
been
We don't
issued.
have proof, Brad. I mean, I don't want to. We need a paper.
We don't usually get a piece of paper. That's the problem. Sometimes we get the email, sometimes we don't.
I see the email.
I don't have an email. All I have is a screenshot of the...
Okay, what's the file number?
Which one is it?
Trail, issued on the 21st.
076 2492.
Existing foundation.
What were the standard conditions? He wanted the hay bale line extended to,
Yeah, can you,
I have the website here.
yeah, I'll talk to Kelly tomorrow,
We have no issue with extending the hay bale line along the tree line. It is within 100 feet.
Okay. Questions, Rob?
No, that was actually my question, and you answered it.
I have nothing. Jim? Mary? Yeah, Mary. Sandy?
type of lawn
What's 30 feet?
are they proposing around the house?
Wetland.
Just loam and seed, a typical
So I
grass
can
yard.
put my fertilizer requirement? Low nitrogen, okay. That's it.
Joe?
No questions.
Mary?
Question?
Just to clarify from your description of opening the hearing, this is just for the grading and clearing. The house
Okay, this
is
is,
all was approved, building permits, it's in construction. All that proposed work was outside the 100-foot.
Yeah.
Obviously, things changed, and the homeowner wants a little more yard space, so.
Okay.
wait a minute. To construct a single-family dwelling, driveway, install a septic system, install utilities, and grading for property. So this,
They just started 100-foot.
so, okay.
So where's the driveway?
Okay.
Elisa?
I'm just
This is more
trying
than
to figure out
150
this,
feet.
just one quick second. Where's the driveway here to the garage?
Where the driveway is?
It's supposed to be the water out here? Yes.
Driveway's here.
Okay. Nothing.
Nothing? Anybody in the public?
I make a motion, we close the hearing.
Second?
All right, Sandy's motion, seconded by Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I make a motion, we issue the standard order of conditions with the stipulation that the hay bale would be extended to the 100-foot along the tree line.
Sandy's motion,
Second?
seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
He's not doing lawn, right? Correct? You're not doing lawn in this application?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's grading.
Loam and-
Standard
loam
order
and seed.
conditions, including use of low nitrogen fertilizer.
Second.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keegan.
Thank you.
I get brain pain.
Okey dokey.
You're laughing
Notice of public hearing Wednesday, July 18th. Notice of intent for Daryl Roberts and Amy, oh, please, pronounce it for me. Swen's Fire. Close, I'm hoping that's close enough. In care of J.C. Engineering, 2854 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass., to tear down existing dwelling and construct a single-family dwelling, pool, and retaining walls for property located Assessors Map 19, lots 112 through 117, 1000 and 1017, 18 Arlington Road, Wareham.
Put a headlight on that pen?
Yeah,
I
she's
just
got a
need
headlight.
one. I just need one.
Yeah, you gotta sign that, Sandy.
I need their signature on that.
Where's the existing garage?
Going down. Shell Point?
Good evening, Brad Bertolo of JC Engineering, representing the property owner.
Thank you. Joe?
Okay. The project site is at 18 Arlington Road. The project involves the demolition of an existing dwelling and garage and the construction of a new dwelling, garage, and in-ground swimming pool in the buffer zone to a coastal bank, salt marsh, and within a coastal flood zone. An existing dwelling and garage are to be demolished and a new 30 by 38-foot dwelling with decks, attached breezeway, and garage are proposed within the same general area on the site. New dwelling should be 37 feet from the top of the coastal bank, with the new deck being 30 foot from the top of the coastal bank. The existing deck is 17 feet from the top of the bank. An in-ground pool is proposed 32 feet from the top of the bank.
One is being knocked down.
Will this project require dewatering is a question and concern for this, as the existing grades are low in close proximity to the salt marsh. A new septic system is proposed, which would be 125 foot from the top of the bank. Part of the driveway is proposed to be constructed over the new septic system. Associated patios and walkways are also proposed. The entire site is located within flood zone A, elevation 14. Grade changes are proposed as shown on the plan to raise the elevation around the house by 1 to 3 feet. The question, will fill be needed to be brought in, and how much? Several retaining walls are also proposed in the location indicated on the plan. New utility lines will also be installed. Question of DEP file number has been issued, has it been issued? If file number has been issued, then recommend the issuance of order of conditions with added conditions for dewatering, and also that pool water is not to be drained towards the coastal bank.
Right.
Salt marsh, or coastal bank / salt marsh. Also, that there be no future expansion into the 30-foot no activity zone. If no DEP file number, then recommend a continuance to the next meeting.
Well, I did submit documentation. We do have the file number. You got the email.
What is it?
076-2493.
Concrete deck. Deck here, deck.
As Dave's letter had stated, the existing structure is currently 17.4 feet away from the coastal bank, top of coastal bank, and the new structure will be situated 30 feet from the coastal bank at its nearest location. I have a blown-up sketch here just to kind of hopefully more visually see the difference. I shaded in gray hatch the existing structure, which is lengthwise about, a little longer than the proposed dwelling, and in purple is the proposed dwelling. I don't have a number on the fill itself. The backyard is about a foot higher at the house, and the front yard is about 3 feet higher. The house is in the flood zone, so it's going to be built in accordance to FEMA standards. It's not going to have a full basement. It would have to be a crawl space at most. I forget the other comments that Dave had mentioned. But the site itself is pretty much all developed for the most part. Portion of the driveway and septic system are all outside 100 foot. The septic system has been designed to handle vehicular loading because it will be under the driveway. And we don't have an issue with putting a condition in regards to groundwater. Review of the perk notes, groundwater is around elevation 2, which is about 6 to 7 feet lower than current grade today. So the structure itself will need 4-foot frost protection, so at most 4 feet below grade would be the excavation for the foundation, the dwelling. I don't know the depth of the pool itself. The homeowner may know. But if there's a dewatering that's necessary, it's typical to have a dewatering pit placed on the property, and we have no issue with a condition to discuss with Dave prior to construction. Most of the fill work is on the front side of the house, away from the resource area, and that pitches, again, away from the resource area, and that fill is situated, its max depth, about 3 feet, is all in an area where it's currently that gravel driveway in front of the existing house. So we're not really clear-cutting much natural property or natural vegetation to construct this dwelling. Be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Rob?
Yeah, I don't know where to begin. I don't like the in the 50-foot line, and I realize that there's a spatial problem here, but a pool? It seems...
Rob, can you talk into this?
They're outside of the 30-foot.
What's that?
They're outside of the 30-foot.
30.
It's not commercial.
50-foot for commercial.
Okay, all right, then I am wrong. Okay, well, that bothered me most, and that's clear, then
You're relieved
I'm
now.
much better off. Thank you.
Jim?
I have
Sandy?
nothing.
Joe and I did have a chance to visit the site, and I noticed that the existing lawn is mowed all the way down to the wetlands. It's already been cleared. There's nothing we can do about it, except for make a recommendation that from now on, all fertilizer be low nitrogen on all that grassland, because it's, as I said, it's already cleared down to the water, and it's, but I do envy this site. It is a beautiful piece of land. Even got bunnies on it.
We got attacked by one.
Oh.
That is my only concern about the project, is the existing mowing, and that we reduce the nitrogen out into the water.
Okay, Joe?
I have no questions.
Mary?
Where's the existing driveway? You going to use the driveway that is, or is there going to be a different driveway area there?
The current driveway, I can highlight on this map here. Situated right here.
Yeah.
And then it forks and it expands between two existing structures.
Mm-hmm.
The new driveway will be a U-shaped driveway, two entrances just to either side. I also want to clarify that the existing septic system is currently a cesspool and will be installed with a denitrification system to meet the Board of Health requirements. So there's a benefit in that aspect as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Elisa?
I had a question, the pool. I don't know about this area, but normally the pools that I've seen around town near resource areas will have a big water truck come in and fill the pool each year. So my question is, They're not gonna put, I don't think, their hose out to fill their pool. How does the truck get there?
Typically, I believe it's pumped out of a truck. They
Yes,
don't drive the
so
truck
my
directly.
question- Yeah, it's pumped out of the truck, but it's a fairly long distance from your new driveway to the pool.
I don't think that would be an issue with a pumper truck.
Okay,
That's,
thank you.
Anybody in the public? No?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Further
I
motion?
make a motion, we issue the standard order of conditions with the following. Allow for the possibility of dewatering, that the pool water not be discharged into the existing wetland, that low nitrogen is used on all grassed area, and that's no work within the 30-foot no-work zone. I think I covered the 4 topics.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the hearings. Now we have certificates of compliance.
Okay, I make a motion that we grant certificate of compliance for the following. Norman Bellinger at 94 Shore Ave. Is that a double listing for the same, or is that different certificates? Kenny?
Looking.
I'll just read it
Like two
again. Norman
different ones.
Bellinger again at 94 Shore Ave. Parker Real Estate Trust at 2 Ames Island Extension. Tina Gallavotti at 232 Blackmore Pond Road. And Steve McCarthy at 17 Kendrick Road.
I second that.
Okay, Joe's motions, Sandy's second. All those in favor?
Oh, just
What?
Mr. Bichette said all were compliant and ready to
Yes,
go.
I-
So I just wanted that on the record, that we did have approval, okay, sorry.
I did ask Kelly today about it.
In an email.
I know, but I wanted it on the record.
Yeah.
It is, it's right here.
Okay,
We had a motion and
all
approval.
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Okay, give me a second to get these signature sheets out.
While you do that, I can do the minutes.
Yes, you can.
We had the last meeting, I got confirmation that unless you've seen a recording or heard the tape, you cannot approve minutes, you have to abstain.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's no, you have to abstain if you haven't seen the recording or heard the tape.
That's new.
That's that one. Okay, we have minutes from January 7th, 2018. January 17th, 2018.
Who was there?
Right here.
Everybody was here except for Mark
Motion to
Carboni.
approve.
I have a motion to approve the January 17th minutes as presented.
Sandy's motion, seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Okay,
Okay.
a set of minutes for April 18th in which Mark, Jim, and Rob were missing.
Motion to approve. That's-
I have a,
They had to
sorry,
be
there's a
fixed, right?
motion, there's a motion to approve.
There's a motion to what?
Approve the April 18th minutes. I
All right.
second that.
Motion made by who?
Joe?
Joe, seconded by Sandy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
So
That's
when you,
the next one.
it's ready for you to approve.
Oh, okay. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I noticed a problem with the April 18th minutes. It had no meeting date on it, and I contacted Kelly, and she was able to correct it before the hearing.
Okay. I'm still trying to sort this out.
What's this reorganization?
Big
box of mess you got over there.
Yeah, I do. And I'm missing some here.
That's two down.
You might
Right,
as well
that's
go,
two-
this
yeah.
is just reorganized. Oh,
Yeah. Okay, we've come to the point where to reorganize the commission. Any feelings or
Yeah,
discussion
could I-
on it?
One thing I'd like to suggest, could we make this a yearly event?
What, reorganization is a yearly event.
Okay.
I've been on it 3 years, and we never reorganized.
All right, I got some thoughts. I'd like to see if we could have you guys swap around the rules. Although we keep the most experience right there.
What did he say there?
Keep the exchange.
Okay, is that a motion?
I guess that means...
Well, I want to see what the rest of the board feels.
I couldn't hear you, Joe, I'm sorry.
into the,
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to to have Sandy move up to chair and have Kenny go down to, what do we call it?
vice chair.
Vice chair. That way we're keeping the experience right there. Sandy gains a little bit more, and then Kenny can have more freedom to kick other people in the shins.
Sandy, I got no doubt you can run this board.
Thank you.
You know the concerns that I have. And,
Yes.
that's my thing. I just don't want you to get into a conflict situation with your husband being in the position that he's in.
Yes, and if anybody knows me and Alan, you know that we don't always agree, and we stay quite independent of each other,
Except if there's ice cream involved.
except for there was ice cream involved, yes. I would like to become chair for at least a year.
Okay, well, it's the wish of the board.
Does anybody else offer any input?
That's fine.
All right, I'll make that as my motion then. Have Kenny be the vice chair and Sandra be the chair.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Joe, seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Well, changing of the guard. I'll be finishing this meeting and
Yes, thank
I'll be
you.
stepping down to vice.
Then,
Kenny, do we have,
oh, yeah, we have
we need a
dues.
vote for dues?
Yeah,
Yes.
I haven't talked to her about that, so maybe you did.
Or do we want to just put that off to the next meeting?
No, I think
They
They
probably do.
they're due July 1st.
All right, so we just gotta have the chair, chair needs approval just to sign?
Yep. That'll be my last official order, I guess.
I had it a few seconds ago.
And this one?
He should have
It was a big one. This makes 5, right?
I don't know, I think we have one more to go.
Richard Baird.
Hey, Kenny, do you want a motion for that?
For what?
Allow the chair to sign?
For the
Yeah.
approval.
Okay, I make the motion for the, allow the chair to sign approval for dues to
Okay,
municipal organization.
$281.
Joe's motion to pay the bill for
Second.
the dues. Sandy seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? So moved.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
No, not yet.
No.
We're still, I'm getting signatures before.
Yeah, but we've already
I
voted.
get the last one right here.
Parker Real Estate. Okay, that one. Because I was told today, make sure I get all the signatures, because a lot of people are coming in today, tomorrow to get. Okay.
Night, Mary.
And I'm getting writer's cramp.
Okay, what's this roster thing? Do we have to put that?
Mm-mm,
That's part of the,
no.
Where have I got to sign over?
It's not little anymore, but it was small when I was a kid. And then I moved to Hubbardston. Well, I moved to
I think that's something Kelly fills out.
Hubbardston, which geographically, three-quarters of it was protected. By various groups.
Can we adjourn and still finish signing?
60,000 people.
Yeah, once you guys pass around that stuff, and then, yeah.
Kenny, is this the last one right
I believe that was the largest town.
Okay.
A lot of work.
I make a motion, we adjourn at 8:48.
So I lived there till I went in the Navy.
Sandy's motion, seconded by
Rob. Second.
Mary Ann, Rob.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Just make sure we get all your paperwork back.
Yeah,
Don't leave until we confirm we
yeah,
got
make
everything.
sure.